The curse of living up to your parents' expectations and how it really
how it can leave you with a sense of guilt
and
for so many
anxiety.
years in your life. So today we're going to be talking about that, and hopefully we'll be relieving you of some of that guilt and some of that
I hope
anxiety.
we'll be able to take that curse off you.
Yeah, well, that's a good way. We're removing the curse.
So tune in to Get Real with the English
Sisters.
the number one podcast for anxiety relief that will leave you smiling. Yes.
Yes, indeed, the curse.
I mean, we've had so many clients that have
We
come
really
to us
have,
with
yeah.
this curse upon them, haven't they?
Yeah.
And with
Yeah, it's not a laughing matter. No,
with our
but
hypnotherapy skills, we've been able to relieve them from that pressure.
Yeah,
Because
indeed.
what do you think actually happens?
I think what happens in most of our clients' cases, and what happens is probably to most of you that you might not be aware of, is that when you're very, very young, your life depends on your caregivers. And so what they want you to do and the expectations they have of you is what you need to do in order to survive in that environment. And so you're always going to try and do that in order to be okay, in order to feel safe in that environment. So if you know that your parents or your caregivers wanted you to get a good grade at school, and if you didn't get that good grade, you would probably maybe get abused physically or verbally, you will try and do everything in your possible capacity to try and get that grade.
Yeah, but I mean, that's quite serious abused. The
Well,
word you've used, and
yeah,
it does happen a lot.
It does happen,
and it may have happened to you, and it's a very serious thing. But sometimes it's not apparent. You just know your parents might pull a face, and you just know that you haven't met their expectations.
You're right, yeah.
So
it can be subtle.
It can be ever so subtle. So
yeah.
it's just like, oh, okay. But it's not. But you know that when you get a good grade, oh well, that's very good. Or maybe we can go to the movies this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So immediate prize,
Or there
reward.
might be some kind of reward, or some kind of even just a smile on your caregiver's face, on your parents' face, that you acknowledge as, oh, I've done the right thing.
Yes.
So when you don't feel as if you're doing the right thing, you think, oh no. And then that's when the guilt sets in and the bad feelings set in. And that, unfortunately, they can go through.
They can stay with you
for the rest of your life.
Even when they're no longer necessary. So there is no need for that guilt.
When your parents, aren't here, even when they've passed on, we do have people that later in life that still have the feeling that they weren't good enough for their parents, which is ever so sad.
Ever so sad, yeah. Saying, oh, my mum wouldn't have wanted this, or my father wouldn't have wanted that, or that's...
Yeah, and I think that's
this kind of guilt that can follow.
I think the thing we're trying to say here is that when this does happen, unfortunately, maybe it's been a cycle that has gone on from before. So maybe your parents or your caregivers grew up like that as well.
It's generational.
Yeah.
That's exactly, you're right.
So
it is
in order
generational.
to break free, you have to literally,
cut the chains, cut the ties.
Yeah, cut the ties. Break
cut
free
it,
from
be
it.
the
So
first one.
Stop doing what your parents want you to do, basically.
Yes. You're going to have to be the first one to say, right, this is a generational thing, a culture thing, perhaps, but I am going to be my own person. It takes courage. It takes courage, but it takes
first of all
understanding.
Understanding. I think
what's
first of all,
on.
your first step is when you become aware of this.
Yes, exactly.
Once you're aware of it, it's already a lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah, it could not be just your caregivers. You were saying caregivers, but your parents, whoever it is that raised you. It could not be just them. It could be that they were also in the same position. They grew up like that. So, you can also become a little bit more empathetic and understand that as well. I think if you understand that and you come from a place of empathy, thinking, well, that's the way they were brought up too, that also helps you in understanding that yes, it's going to take courage for you to find your way, and yes, it's not a normal thing that has been done in your family, and to have empathy for that, because there may be
Yeah.
feelings of
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Empathy.
yeah,
If you do have empathy, it's a lot easier for you to break free from this curse because you begin to understand where they're coming from and
yes,
why they're
yes,
doing that, and that really that they know no better.
they know no better, and you can see them as the flawed human beings that they are, as we all are, the imperfect people they are. They, even though they are, they have been your caretakers when you were little. Now you can, as you grow and you become an adult, and you're probably adults if you're listening to this, you can begin to see them as the people, just the normal human beings that they are, and what they did was what they knew.
Yeah, I remember like when we were little, Mum always used to say that we were the golden children. I mean, we were
Yeah.
very lucky we grew up with a lot of self-esteem because we got it from both our parents really, but not all the time.
No, not all
Sometimes
the
from one
time.
parent a bit more than
Than
the
the other,
other.
yeah.
But I remember that there was a lot of pressure on that because you
There was
always
so much
felt as if
pressure.
you had to be good. You could never like be naughty or
Or
disrespectful
capricious and
or capricious.
no, like say, oh, I want that, sweetie, I
Yeah.
want that. No, no, we
It
knew
taught
it.
us to be quiet.
Yeah, we knew that was not expected of us because we were so good. If you would ever hear, especially our mum talk to other parents, she would say, "Oh no, my children are so good."
Yeah.
They would never do that. Like, and then, so of course that expectation, it becomes like you overhear these things. Oh, we would never do that. We would never like I don't know, just say we want sweets or make a fuss about wanting something, a toy or something. We would never do that. So we knew this was implied. This was the expectation. And we knew if we complied and we behaved,
Then our parents would be happy.
yeah, our parents would be happy with us. They'd be proud of us. And even though we did grow up in an unconditional kind of, it was unconditional love because our parents were adorable and they really did love us so much. However, these expectations left us with a feeling of guilt if we did ever want something, and
Yeah, it did kind
it
of.
did kind
Well,
of influence.
it influenced you and it repressed you in a
It
certain way.
repressed you because I don't know what kind of a child I would have been if I hadn't had that kind of pressure. Maybe I would have, probably that's why I did try and rebel.
Yeah.
I was much more rebellious than you were because you were just a tiny bit older than me. So you had even more pressure as the oldest child, more pressure than me. I was kind of like a little bit left
To your own devices.
to my own devices. Well, not really, but a tiny bit more than you were. So I had a bit more less pressure. But anyway, yeah. So sometimes it's just these subtle things that you just hear.
Yeah, but when we were older, then we couldn't put a foot wrong. Anything we did, it was, oh, wonderful, 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 you're amazing, you're
Yes,
beautiful.
yes, yes.
So we got all of that, showered
Yeah.
upon us.
Yes.
But we were able to make our own decisions also, maybe because our parents were immigrants and like our dad just wanted us to go and work in a supermarket
Oh,
basically.
yeah. He
But our
wasn't bothered.
mum wanted us to go and
And
study
have a higher education.
and have a
yeah.
higher education. But she didn't really, I mean, she never really made you feel as if you
No.
hadn't done that. She just
No.
wanted us to be happy basically.
Really, yeah. When I said, Mom, I want to drop out. I don't want to go to uni. I want to change my life. I want to travel and do different things. She just said, okay, darling, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
So that was nice knowing
we
that.
were
Yeah, so
lucky.
that was lucky. That's like the ideal situation,
Yeah.
really. But there are so many of you that have not had this ideal situation. We're very much aware of that. Very, very much aware of the pressure of just a few words can have on you. So it does take a moment for
Yeah,
you
and
to
I
become.
think if your parents become aware of this as well, that it's not, sometimes it can just be a look, and you might even think you're not imposing things on your children, but you are without even realizing it. So just, just
Yes.
take a little moment to reflect on that, because sometimes your child or your son or daughter they will ask you, that they want to be something else that you're not expecting. And you
Yeah.
might have that moment where you got that like
Yeah, well,
judging face.
or it's just a facial expression, like what you were
Yeah,
saying before.
I think you can.
Just a little wince, just
Yeah,
anything. I mean, when you're very young, you look to your parents' face so much,
yeah,
and you're like, even your senses are even heightened to look for these facial
yes,
expressions,
they
because
are.
you depend on those facial expressions literally to survive when you're very young. And so if their facial expression, if they wince, or there's a grimace, or there's something that tells you, wait, that's not right, your path may change.
Yeah.
Your path may change. You say, Mum, I want to be an artist. And they go, really?
Or
And
they
then,
might say,
oh
"Oh,
dear.
you can't make a living out of that."
Yeah, exactly. With a little smile like
Yeah,
that.
they might
It's,
even laugh. You can't make a living out of that. But that suggestion saying, "I don't approve."
yes, exactly. Yes. You're right. When you can make a living out of that, and nowadays we know that it's even easier to do than it was in probably in your parents' time, because with the internet, things have become more accessible. So yes,
Yeah.
there are many
Or you might
different.
say, "I want to
Yeah.
work online and do something online." Oh, wow. That's, and then there's a silence.
And then there's a silence. Yes. Or what about the thing that
Or I want to be a doctor. And, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, we would
wonderful
love to have a doctor in
doctor in
our
the family,
family.
a doctor and a
Then a
lawyer.
lawyer.
Yes, why don't you become a lawyer and you're the doctor? That's what they say here in
Or
Italy.
otherwise,
And in
even,
other cultures,
yeah.
it's very useful to have a doctor in the family and a lawyer.
Or otherwise, unfortunately, if you're not the sex that your parents want, oh, I always did want a boy, or I always wanted a girl.
Yes, now let's talk
Or
about
if
that.
you're,
How
yeah,
that can make you feel
or
when
if
you
you
know,
don't
yeah.
fall into any of those categories and you want to be your own person, oh, well, but
Yes, that sense
if you
of
don't identify
disappointment.
as a boy or a girl or
Girl,
anything,
yeah.
and that's if they're nice, because then you could get real backlash.
Yeah, that's if they're nice,
So
yeah. So
it's
that's,
all, and then that feeling of guilt and, oh, I didn't meet their expectations. It's like having a brick on top of you, a sack of
goodness me.
bricks.
Yes, yeah.
That when you release them and you think it's not
Oh,
their fault, they know no better.
they
They
know no
don't know
better.
better.
They're simple, flawed
Yeah.
human
That's
beings.
how they grew up, and that's how they were conditioned to think.
So heavily, or maybe because they were immigrants and then they want better, they want a different life for you, and they believe that if you do become the doctor or whatever, that's going to be good for you. And then maybe they can talk to their family back home about you and be proud of you and say, my son, my daughter has this, and what they don't want to say, my son and my daughter are dancing now and having dancing
And
lessons
let's
or something. They want something solid, something they can
and
define.
yes,
And
and let's not talk about having children if you decide
yes,
not
oh
to.
my goodness me,
The
yes,
thing
that's
about,
another,
I think
yeah.
the thing about parents like that is, even if you do fulfill their expectations in one way, because they have such high expectations for you, there will always be something that's lacking. So
Exactly.
they will never be happy for you.
Never.
100%.
No.
So when you accept that, that's when you can break free, because you can think, well, even if I take everything off the list,
Everything my parents
there's still
wanted.
going to be something that's not quite right for them.
Not 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I got that, but I didn't quite make that position. I got this, and I've got a girl, but now it's time for me to have a baby boy. I've got I had a wife, but now I want a divorce. A divorce. Oh, there's all these different things that can. The only thing you can do is just realize that, yes, you were put on this planet by your parents and you were taken care of by the caregivers, whoever they were. But now this is your time to be on this planet.
Yeah, it's your time to shine.
It's your time, and you're the only one as an adult that can fully understand your needs, what you need to be doing. You are the only one that knows. Sometimes it's going to take a few days for you to process this and to think about this, even when the podcast is finished. You can potter around and start thinking about this and wonder how much
what would have been.
yes, how much of me am I really, or how much of me has been influenced, and maybe I'm not doing what I really want to be doing right now. And if you can slowly start making changes.
Yeah, you can start taking these
Slowly.
bricks off your back.
Slowly, yes. You can start by
Unburdening yourself.
taking deep breaths and removing the guilt. You can just imagine it's just melting away.
Yeah.
Melting away, brick by brick. You can just imagine it melting away. And then you can also, just remember to do everything slowly, even if this is, because this may be a wall that has been built for a long time, but we're talking
definitely.
about bricks, so it's one by one, isn't
Yes.
it? Ecologically, looking around you, making sure that you're not going to suddenly make a rash decision.
Yes.
And you're going to
Do things gently.
and wisely, but taking great care of what you need.
Yeah, and sometimes it might just be like, well, I'm not going to tell them that I'm doing this.
Exactly.
And just admitting it.
Omitting it, yes.
Because sometimes when you do want to live up to your parents' expectations, you're always eager to tell them, even if you know it's not going to be quite perfect, but you have to kind of get it off your chest. You have to kind of tell them. So even if you just decide, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to keep that quiet, but I've decided to take up a course in something different.
Something different,
Or I've decided to enroll into onto another subject at some university.
Yes, exactly. Yes. You can make these changes, and you can
do it subtly.
You can do it subtly, and you can do it like on the quiet. Because sometimes there is no need to create this big
no
shock.
need to keep what's it called, pounding, hurting the person on purpose.
Yes.
Because if you think they're trying to do this with their best intention, hopefully, and even if it isn't their best, if it's not their best intention, usually 80% of the time it is, because they want something for you, maybe without realizing it, or they want to fulfill something in themselves that was lacking in them, and they want you to kind of fulfill it for them as their child.
Yes.
Which is I'm doing all these hand gestures. If you're watching, if you come and see it on YouTube, because this is how it plays out. Usually, a lot of the times, it's because it's something that they didn't. It's their dream that they couldn't fulfill.
Yeah, that's so right. Yeah, it's a dream that's. So that's why we're saying also, yes, you have to have courage. You're going to be brave, but you can also do it gently, understanding they're flawed, imperfect human beings that may have had this dream that wasn't realized in their life, and they want it for you, for your life. And so to be gentle about it, is not to come rushing home and say, Mum, Dad, I've made this up choice, stuff it. It's like, because that's going to be difficult for them. Hey, just do it, start it, like what Violetta was saying. Start that course, start that. You can keep your old job if you've got a job already, and then start pursuing this new adventure, something that you feel that is for you. And if you understand what we're talking about, you'll know.
Yeah,
you'll know exactly what it is
within your personal life or your professional life or your, whatever it is that you want to pursue. That there's no need to rub salt into a wound. You just do it quietly. You can You can heal.
You can, yes. And if you've already tried quietly for many years, well, then now is the time to express yourself,
Yeah, and just
to
be outright with
reclaim
it.
your life, and to say okay, because there may
Yeah,
be some
because
of you that have
sometimes,
expressed it quietly and done it and it's not working.
yes.
Okay, then
And then just
you
accept
just
that
have to pull the band-aid off.
yeah, and
And that's
accept
it.
that it's okay for your parents not to be excited and about your life because it's not their life.
It isn't their life, no.
Exactly.
So
That's
if they're not jumping up and down for joy, well, you're jumping up and down for joy. And
I say jump up and down for joy and reclaim your life
I
because
say
it's
that
yours.
too. Yes, yeah. I say that too. Reclaim your life. Understand what your role in your life is.
Because you're the adult
You're
now.
the adult and it's your life.
And also bear in mind that if you do have children in the future, that will be your legacy to leave to them.
yes,
So
and do
that
you
they'll be
want the same
free.
thing to be happening? Do you want to find yourself repeating these generational patterns, or would you like something different for your child or your children?
Something better.
Something better. And you're the start of all of it.
Yep, you're the star of your own show. Remember that.
You are the star of your own show.
Let us know what you think, and if you've had this happen to you, or you're going through
Or
it,
you're feeling the guilt,
feeling it,
the curse.
write to us, and leave a comment on Spotify as well, or on YouTube. And please do leave a review on Apple Podcasts because it really helps our podcast grow, and we want to help you grow as we grow too.
Exactly, yes.
Become part of
Grow
our
together,
family.
become part of our family, and lots of love. Lots
Love
of love
and
and
smiles
smiles
from
from
the
the
English
English
sisters.
sisters.